The first sign should have been how quickly Aaliyah showed up at the hospital that night. I hadn't even called her yet. I'm Meredith, and until 6 months ago, I thought I knew exactly how my life would unfold. I had a loving husband, a growing role in our family's jewelry business, and a baby girl who was supposed to make our family complete. Now I'm sitting in my empty house, staring at the nursery door I haven't opened since that night, wondering how I missed all the warning signs. "You need to eat something," Aaliyah said, placing a bowl of soup on my bedside table. She'd been staying with us since I lost the baby, playing the role of the perfect sister. "Omar's worried about you." "Where is he?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. He'd been spending more time at the office lately, claiming the business needed extra attention. "Board meeting," Aaliyah replied, smoothing her perfectly pressed skirt. "But I'm here. I'll always be here for you, sis." I nodded, forcing a weak smile. That's when my phone buzzed. A text from Roslyn, my closest friend. "Call me ASAP. Something's happening at the office." "I should get back to work soon," I said, pushing myself up. "Dad's probably wondering where I am." Aaliyah's hand shot out, pressing me back against the pillows. "Nobody expects you back yet. Besides, I've been handling your projects. Everything's under control." The way she said it made my skin crawl. Later that evening, I called Roslyn. Her voice was tight with concern. "Mir, I overheard something today. Aaliyah was in your father's office for hours. They were discussing some major changes to the spring collection. Your collection." "What changes?" My throat went dry. I'd spent months developing those designs, drawing inspiration from our grandmother's vintage pieces. They're scrapping most of it. Aaliyah presented her own concepts. Your father seemed impressed. I hung up and made my way downstairs, needing air. That's when I heard them, Omar and Aaliyah's voices drifting from the kitchen. "She's not ready," Aaliyah was saying. "The company needs direction now. We can't wait for her to pull herself together." "I know," Omar replied, his voice heavy with something I couldn't quite identify. "But she's my wife. This will destroy her. Sometimes we have to be cruel to be kind." Aaliyah's tone was soft, sympathetic. "The board meeting went well today. They agree the company needs new energy, fresh perspective." I pressed my back against the wall, heart pounding. Through the gap in the door, I could see them standing close. Too close. Omar's hand rested on my sister's shoulder, and she wasn't pulling away. "What about the expansion plans?" Omar asked. "Meredith's been working on those for months." "Already handled," Aaliyah replied. "I've restructured the whole proposal. Dad loves it. The board's voting next week." I wanted to burst in, to confront them both, but something held me back. Maybe it was shock, maybe it was strategy. Instead, I watched as Aaliyah reached up and straightened Omar's tie, her fingers lingering just a moment too long. "Trust me," she said. "This is best for everyone. Meredith needs time to heal, and the business needs to move forward. I can handle both." I slipped away before they could discover me, my mind racing. The sister who'd been braiding my hair since childhood, who'd been my maid of honor, who'd held my hand through every doctor's appointment during my pregnancy, she'd been planning this all along. Back in my room, I pulled out my phone and texted Roslyn. "Need to meet tomorrow, early." Her response was immediate. "Coffee shop on 4th, 7 a.m. You okay?" I wasn't okay. Not even close. But as I lay in bed that night, listening to Omar's steady breathing beside me, something crystallized in my mind. The grief that had been crushing me for months began to transform into something else. Something harder, sharper. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Roslyn. "Found something interesting in the old files. Your grandmother's original designs. The ones before the company got big. You need to see these." I smiled for the first time in months. Grandmother had built this company from nothing, fighting every step of the way. Now her legacy was being hijacked by my own sister, with my husband's help. Well, they weren't the only ones who could play the long game. I closed my eyes, but sleep wouldn't come. Instead, I remembered something my grandmother used to say. "In business and in life, darling, never let them see you bleed. Let them think you're broken, then show them your teeth." Tomorrow, I decided I would start showing my teeth. But first, I needed to understand exactly what I was up against, and more importantly, what weapons I had in my arsenal. The nursery door stayed closed, but another door was opening, one that would lead me down a path I never expected to take. "You're looking better," Mom said, passing me the salad bowl at our weekly family dinner. Her smile was warm but cautious, like she was afraid I might shatter. The time away from work has done you good. If she only knew. I'd spent the past week secretly meeting with Roslyn, poring over grandmother's old designs and piecing together what was happening at the company. But tonight wasn't about business. It was about watching my sister perform her latest act. Actually, I said, stabbing a cherry tomato with my fork, I've been thinking about coming back to work. The silence that followed was deafening. Aaliyah's fork clattered against her plate. Oh, honey, Mom started. There's no rush. I have an announcement, Aaliyah interrupted, reaching for Omar's hand across the table. My stomach lurched at their intertwined fingers. The board has officially appointed me as creative director. Dad beamed. Aaliyah's been doing fantastic work. The spring collection is already getting buzz from major retailers. My spring collection, my designs, twisted and warped into something unrecognizable. That's wonderful, I managed, my voice steady. Congratulations, sis. There's more, Aaliyah continued, practically glowing. We're expanding into the Asian market. The board approved my proposal unanimously. My proposal, my contacts, my 3 years of groundwork. I couldn't have done it without Omar's support, she added, giving his hand a squeeze. He's been instrumental in making this happen. I watched my husband's face carefully. He wouldn't meet my eyes. To new beginnings, Mom raised her glass, oblivious to the undercurrents. And to family supporting family. My phone buzzed. Roslyn. Found something. Big. Meet me tonight? Excuse me, I said, standing up. I need some air. I stepped onto the patio, the summer evening warm against my skin. Behind me, the door opened and closed. Mur? It was Omar. Are you okay? Funny how you're asking that now, I said, not turning around. After weeks of barely speaking to me. He sighed. I know I've been distant. It's just seeing you in pain. I didn't know how to handle it. But Aaliyah did, right? She's been helping with work, he said defensively. Someone had to step up. Is that all she's been helping with? Before he could answer, Aaliyah joined us. Everything okay out here? Just perfect. I smiled, the expression feeling foreign on my face. Omar was just telling me how helpful you've been. I wish you'd let me help you too, Aaliyah said, touching my arm. You've shut everyone out since, well, you know. The concern in her voice sounded genuine. That's what made it so dangerous. Actually, I said, I've been thinking about starting fresh, maybe launching something new. New? Aaliyah's eyebrows shot up. What do you mean? Just ideas, I shrugged. Nothing concrete yet. Back inside, Dad was showing Mom something on his tablet. Look at these numbers, he was saying. Aaliyah's changes to the expansion plan are brilliant. I learned from the best, Aaliyah said modestly, settling back into her chair. Remember how grandmother always said jewelry should tell a story? My hand clenched around my water glass. How dare she invoke grandmother's memory while stealing her legacy? Speaking of stories, Mom brightened. I found some old photos yesterday, from when you girls were little. Remember that summer at the lake house? When Aaliyah pushed me off the dock? I asked sweetly. How could I forget? I didn't push you, Aaliyah protested. You slipped. Right, I nodded. Just like I slipped down the stairs at Dad's office that time, or how my design portfolio slipped into the shredder before that big presentation. Girls, Mom warned, but I was already standing up. Thanks for dinner, I said, grabbing my purse. I need to meet Roslyn. At this hour? Omar frowned. Some friends actually show up when you need them, I replied, heading for the door. In my car, I finally let out the breath I'd been holding. My phone buzzed again. Roslyn sending an address. On my way, I texted back. Another message popped up, this one from Aaliyah. I know you're hurting, but don't do anything rash. Let me help you through this. I laughed out loud in my empty car. Help me through this? She was the one I needed help getting through. Roslyn was waiting at our usual coffee shop, a thick folder on the table. You're not going to believe what I found, she said as I sat down. Remember those vintage pieces your grandmother sold before starting the company? I tracked down the buyers. And they're willing to sell back. All of them. We could rebuild her original collection, the one that started everything. For the first time in months, I felt something like hope. Not the soft, warm kind, but something sharp and bright and dangerous. "Make the calls," I said. "It's time to remind everyone where this company really came from." Rosalind grinned. "Now that's the Meredith I remember." I found Omar's favorite tie hanging in Aaliyah's coat closet on a Tuesday morning. I wasn't snooping. I'd stopped by to drop off some old company files she'd requested, using the spare key she'd given me years ago. The bright blue silk caught my eye immediately. I'd bought him that tie in Milan last spring. My phone rang, making me jump. It was Rosalind. "You need to get to your grandmother's storage unit," she said without preamble. "Now." 20 minutes later, I was kneeling beside Rosalind on a dusty concrete floor, surrounded by cardboard boxes. "Look at this," she said, carefully unfolding a yellowed letter. "It's from your grandmother to your mom." The paper crackled as I took it. My grandmother's elegant handwriting filled the page. "Dearest Stella, remember what I told you about legacy. It's not just about the jewelry, it's about the stories they carry. Every piece I've created holds a truth. When the time comes, make sure the girls understand this, especially Meredith. She has my eye for the hidden meanings." "There's more," Rosalind said, pulling out a small leather-bound notebook. "Design sketches, supplier contacts, everything from before the company went big." My hands trembled as I flipped through the pages. These weren't just designs. They were my grandmother's secrets, her real legacy. My phone buzzed. "Omar, where are you? Aaliyah said you were supposed to drop off files." "Got delayed," I typed back. "Something came up?" Another text followed immediately. "Coming home tonight?" I stared at the message. Home. Where his toothbrush had mysteriously vanished from our bathroom. Where his favorite coffee mug now lived in Aaliyah's kitchen cabinet. "No," I replied, "staying at Rosalind's." "Myrrh," Rosalind said softly, "there's something else you should see." She handed me a small velvet box. Inside was a stunning Art Deco ring, emeralds and diamonds set in platinum. "Your grandmother's engagement ring," Rosalind explained, "the one that inspired her first collection." "Mom always said it was lost," I whispered. "Look at the inscription." Inside the band, tiny letters spelled out, "Truth before beauty, strength before surrender." My phone buzzed again. Aaliyah this time. "We need to talk. Dinner tomorrow?" "Can't," I replied. "Busy." "With what?" came her immediate response. "Life," I typed back, then turned off my phone. "Help me pack all this," I told Rosalind. "Every sketch, every note, every piece of jewelry." "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking it's time to tell some new stories." Later that night, sprawled across Rosalind's living room floor with takeout containers and grandmother's notebooks, we started planning. "Jason Moore called," Rosalind mentioned casually. "He's interested in meeting." I looked up sharply. Jason had been our family's biggest distributor before Aaliyah redirected his contracts. "He says the new designs aren't selling like yours did," Rosalind continued. "Apparently customers miss the storytelling element." I smiled, remembering how grandmother always insisted each piece should have its own narrative. My phone, now turned back on, chimed with a text from Mom. "Aaliyah and Omar have news. Family dinner Sunday. Please come." "News?" I muttered. "Wonder what they're planning to steal from me this time." "Maybe it's time to stop playing defense," Rosalind suggested, reaching for another spring roll. "Your grandmother's designs, Jason's distribution network. We'd need capital," I pointed out. "Already handled," Rosalind grinned. "Remember my trust fund? I've been looking for a good investment opportunity." I stared at my oldest friend, feeling tears prick my eyes. "Partners?" she asked, holding out her hand. "Partners," I agreed, grasping it. My phone buzzed again. "Omar, where are your design files? Aaliyah needs them for the rebranding." I looked at grandmother's ring, still sitting in its velvet box. Truth before beauty, strength before surrender. "Lost them," I texted back. "Sorry." Rosalind peered over my shoulder. "You know they're going to figure it out eventually." "Good," I said, picking up the ring. "I'm counting on it." I slipped it onto my finger, surprised by how perfectly it fit. In the dim light, the emeralds seemed to glow with their own inner fire. "Your grandmother would be proud," Rosalind said quietly. "She'd be furious," I corrected, "about what they've done to her company, about what they've done to me. So what's our first move?" I pulled out grandmother's notebook, turning to a particular sketch. We start with this piece, her first major design, the one that put her on the map. The phoenix pendant? Appropriate, don't you think? I smiled. Rising from the ashes and all that. Rosalind raised her wine glass. To new beginnings. No, I said, thinking of Aaliyah's words at the family dinner. To telling stories. The real ones this time. We worked late into the night, surrounded by the ghosts of old designs and the promise of new ones. Somewhere across town, my sister was probably sleeping in my husband's arms. But for the first time since losing the baby, I didn't feel like I was drowning. I was finally learning to swim. The phoenix pendant needs to be ready for next week's preview, I told the craftsman, sliding my grandmother's original sketch across his workbench. Can you match this exactly? He studied the intricate design, whistling softly. This is old-school craftsmanship. Haven't seen work like this in years. That's the point, I smiled. We're bringing it back. My phone buzzed. Jason, meeting moved to 2 p.m., bringing potential investors. Perfect timing, Rosalind said, reading over my shoulder. The samples will be ready by then. We'd been working around the clock for 2 weeks, secretly setting up our new venture while Aaliyah paraded around the family company like a queen in waiting. The irony wasn't lost on me. Meredith? A familiar voice made me freeze. I turned to find Omar standing in the workshop doorway, looking confused. What are you doing here? I could ask you the same thing, I replied coolly. This isn't exactly your usual territory. He stepped closer, eyes scanning the workbench. Aaliyah's been trying to reach you. You missed another family dinner. I've been busy. With what? His gaze landed on the phoenix sketch. These look like grandmother's designs, I finished for him. They are. But those belong to the company. No, I corrected. They belong to me. Grandmother left them to me personally. Check the will. His face darkened. Aaliyah's not going to like this. Aaliyah doesn't have to like anything I do anymore, I said, gathering the sketches. Just like I don't have to like her sleeping with my husband. He flinched. It's not what you think. Really? So your toothbrush ended up in her bathroom by accident? Before he could respond, my phone rang. Jason again. I need to take this, I said, turning away. I'm sure you can find your way out. You're good at that. Later that afternoon, I sat across from Jason and 3 potential investors in a sleek conference room. The Phoenix Collection, I announced, unveiling the first pieces. A revival of classic designs with modern interpretations. These are extraordinary, one investor murmured, examining the pendant. The craftsmanship, the storytelling element. That's our signature, Rosalind explained. Every piece tells a story of transformation, of rising above circumstances. Speaking of circumstances, Jason leaned forward. I heard interesting rumors about the family company's latest expansion. Seems there are some irregularities in the financing. I kept my face neutral. Oh? Your sister's brilliant plan might not be so brilliant after all, he continued. The Asian market isn't responding well to the new designs. They're calling them soulless copies. My grandmother's voice echoed in my head. Truth before beauty. We're offering something different, I said. Authenticity, heritage, real stories. And real numbers, Rosalind added, distributing financial projections. 2 hours later, we had commitments from all 3 investors. As they filed out, Jason lingered. There's something else you should know, he said quietly. Omar's been making some questionable moves with company funds. If anyone looked closely. Are you suggesting someone should? He shrugged. I'm suggesting karma has interesting timing. My phone buzzed. Aaliyah, we need to announce the engagement at next month's charity gala. Stop avoiding me. I showed the message to Rosalind, who whistled. They're not wasting any time. Neither are we, I replied, picking up the Phoenix pendant. Book us a spot at the gala. It's time for our preview to go public. That's playing with fire, she warned. Good thing we have a phoenix then. That evening, I visited grandmother's grave, placing fresh flowers beside her headstone. I found your ring, I told her, touching the emeralds on my finger, and your real legacy. I won't let them bury it again. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Interesting designs, very familiar. Careful where you step, sis. I laughed out loud in the quiet cemetery. Still tracking my phone, Aaliyah? I muttered. Amateur move. Another message followed from Omar. We need to talk, about everything. Nothing left to talk about, I typed back. But plenty left to show. Rosalind called as I was leaving the cemetery. Samples are ready for the photo shoot tomorrow, and Jason sent over some interesting documents about those financial irregularities. Perfect, I said, starting my car. Time to remind everyone what real jewelry looks like. And real revenge? I touched grandmother's ring again, feeling its weight, its history, its truth. No, I replied. Time to remind them what real strength looks like. The phoenix pendant caught the setting sun as it lay on my passenger seat, its golden wings seeming to flutter in the light. Soon, very soon, it would take flight, and this time, I wouldn't be the one getting burned. The wedding invitation arrived on cream-colored cardstock, wrapped in gold ribbon. I didn't need to open it to know what it said. Aaliyah had already leaked the engagement photos to every fashion magazine in the city. You don't have to go, Rosalind said, watching me turn the envelope over in my hands. Actually, I do. I smiled, sliding the invitation across my desk. The gala is the night before. Perfect timing for our launch. My phone buzzed. An anonymous email. Financial records attached. You might find page 7 interesting. J. I opened the attachment, scanning until I found what Jason had flagged. There it was, a series of suspicious transfers from the company's expansion fund to a private account. Look at this, I told Rosalind. Seems my dear sister's been creative with more than just jewelry designs. Meredith? Mom's voice made us both jump. She stood in my office doorway, looking uncertain. I didn't expect to find you here. Just clearing out some old files. I lied smoothly. Did you need something? She stepped inside, fidgeting with her bracelet, one of grandmother's pieces. The wedding. Aaliyah wants you to be her maid of honor. I laughed so hard I nearly fell out of my chair. You can't be serious. She feels terrible about everything. She wants to make things right. By marrying my husband? Ex-husband, Mom corrected gently. The divorce was finalized last week. I know. I signed the papers. I stood up, gathering the financial documents. Tell Aaliyah thanks, but I'll just be attending as a guest, a very interested guest. Please don't make a scene, Mom pleaded. It's supposed to be a happy day. Oh, it will be memorable, I promised. Very memorable. After she left, Rosalind raised an eyebrow. Maid of honor? That's either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. It's Aaliyah covering her bases, I said, checking my phone as another message came through. This one from Jason. Your sister's meeting with Asian investors canceled. They're interested in meeting you instead. The Phoenix Collection preview is trending, Rosalind noted, showing me her tablet. People are already asking where they can buy it. They'll find out at the gala, I said, right before the happy couple's wedding. My phone rang. Omar this time. I let it go to voicemail. You should hear this, Rosalind said suddenly, turning up the volume on a business news podcast. Rumors of financial discrepancies at Lane Jewelry have investors concerned. Sources suggest the company's ambitious expansion plans may be built on shaky ground. I smiled. Karma works fast these days. The office door flew open. Aaliyah stormed in, face flushed. What did you do? I'm not the one playing games with company money, I replied calmly, or other people's husbands. You're trying to ruin everything, she hissed. The expansion, the wedding. No, I cut her off. I'm trying to protect grandmother's legacy, the one you're destroying with cheap copies and cheaper ethics. You abandoned the company when we needed you most. I lost my baby. The words exploded out of me. And while I was grieving, you stole everything else. She stepped back, something like guilt flickering across her face. It wasn't planned. Save it for your vows, I said, turning back to my computer. I'm sure you'll make them sound beautiful. You're good at that, making ugly things sound beautiful. The gala, she said suddenly. You're planning something. I touched grandmother's ring. Just honoring our family's real legacy. After she left, Rosalind let out a low whistle. She's scared. She should be. I pulled up the invitation list for our preview event. Add her name, front row seat. You're inviting her to our launch? Know your enemy, I quoted, remembering grandmother's words. Keep them close enough to watch them fall. My phone buzzed again. A text from Dad. Need to discuss company finances. Urgent. Too late, I muttered, sending a quick in-meetings response. The phoenix pendant caught the light on my desk, its wings spreading shadows across the financial documents. Soon everyone would see the truth. About the company, about Aaliyah, about everything. The photographers are confirmed for the gala, Roslyn reported. Fashion blogs are already buzzing about a mysterious new collection. Perfect. I stood up, gathering my things. Time to go home and RSVP to my sister's wedding. What are you going to write? I pulled out the response card, checking the attending box with a flourish. In the comments section, I wrote, looking forward to sharing this special day with everyone. All the stories deserve to be told. Subtle, Roslyn smirked. Just wait, I said, sealing the envelope. The real story hasn't even started yet. The bride requests lilies for the bouquet, the wedding planner announced, flipping through her notebook. And the color scheme is gold and cream, I finished, examining my nails. How original. We sat in Aaliyah's penthouse apartment, my old apartment, surrounded by wedding samples and swatches. Playing the supportive sister was exhausting, but necessary. Meredith, Aaliyah sighed, if this is too difficult for you. Not at all, I smiled. I want everything to be perfect. My phone buzzed. Jason, financial investigation moving forward. Board meeting called for Monday. Speaking of perfect, I said, standing up, I should check on the gala arrangements. Big night for everyone. Wait, Aaliyah called as I reached the door. I found something in Omar's old jacket. She pulled out a folded paper, a note I'd written to Omar the day before I lost the baby. My hands trembled as I recognized it. I can't wait to meet our daughter, Aaliyah read aloud. I already know she'll have your smile. Stop, I whispered. I found it the night you were in the hospital, she continued. Omar was so broken, so lost. So you comforted him? I spat. In my bed? It wasn't like that. No. I pulled out my phone, showing her the photos Jason had sent. These bank transfers tell a different story. You two were planning this long before I lost the baby. Her face went pale. Where did you get those? Karma has a way of revealing truth, I said, opening the door. See you at the gala. Outside, I called Roslyn. Everything ready? Preview setup is complete, she confirmed. Press is confirmed, and you'll never guess who just RSVP'd. The board members. All of them? Apparently, they're very interested in your tribute collection to your grandmother. I laughed. If they only knew. That evening, I visited the gala venue, watching workers set up displays. The Phoenix collection would be unveiled in the center, surrounded by grandmother's original pieces, the ones Aaliyah thought were lost forever. My phone rang. Omar. Don't hang up, he said quickly. Please. What do you want? I found the financial records on Aaliyah's laptop, the transfers, the fake contracts. Finally doing your due diligence? I asked sweetly. Bit late for that. I didn't know, he insisted, about any of it. The money, the designs. She said you approved everything. And you believed her? Or did you just want to believe her? Silence. The night I lost the baby, I continued, my voice steady. Where were you, really? With her, right? Planning your future while I was losing ours? He didn't answer. He didn't need to. See you at the gala, I said, hanging up. Roslyn appeared with 2 glasses of wine. You okay? Better than okay, I replied, taking a glass. Everything's falling into place. The press release is ready, she said. Once we announce the collection's provenance. Aaliyah's house of cards collapses, I finished, along with her reputation. My phone buzzed again. Mom. Found more of grandmother's old pieces in the attic, coming to drop them off. Don't tell her anything, I warned Roslyn. Not yet. Mom arrived 20 minutes later, carrying a small box. I thought these might help with your tribute collection, she said, then paused, looking around. This is more than a tribute. It's grandmother's real legacy, I explained, the one Aaliyah tried to erase. Oh, girls, Mom sighed. What happened to you two? Ask your younger daughter, I suggested, the one who's marrying my husband. Ex-husband, Mom corrected automatically, then stopped. These designs, they're exact replicas. No, I said. They're the originals. Every piece tells a story, remember? Including the story of how they were almost stolen. Understanding dawned in her eyes. The financial irregularities. The board meeting. Like I said, I smiled. Every piece tells a story. My phone lit up. Aaliyah, we need to talk. Now. Sorry, sis, I typed back. Too busy planning your perfect day. The phoenix rises, Rosalind said, gesturing to the central display. Ready to set the world on fire. Not the world, I corrected. Just one very carefully constructed lie. Mom touched the pendant gently. Your grandmother would be proud and terrified. She taught me well, I said. Truth before beauty, strength before surrender. And revenge? Mom asked quietly. Justice, I corrected. For grandmother's legacy, for my lost daughter, for everything. My phone buzzed one final time. Jason. Board members requesting private viewing before gala, tomorrow morning. Perfect, I replied, then turned to Rosalind. Time to start the fire. The wedding's the day after the gala, Mom reminded me. Please tell me you're not planning. Don't worry, I assured her, touching grandmother's ring. Everything will happen exactly as it should. In the fading light, the Phoenix collection seemed to glow with its own inner fire, each piece a weapon disguised as art, just like grandmother taught me. Tomorrow, the truth would start spreading. By the wedding, it would be an inferno, and I had front row seats to watch it burn. The gala buzzed with anticipation. Camera flashes lit up the room as journalists circled like sharks, drawn by the whispers of scandal and the promise of a spectacular reveal. 5 minutes, Rosalind whispered, adjusting my grandmother's emerald ring on my finger. Are you ready? I watched Aaliyah across the room, resplendent in white, clinging to Omar's arm as she worked the crowd. She looked confident, radiant even. She had no idea what was coming. Ladies and gentlemen, the MC announced, please gather for the unveiling of the Phoenix collection. The crowd shifted, forming a semicircle around the covered displays. I caught sight of the board members, their faces tense with barely concealed concern. They'd seen the financial records that morning. Before we begin, I said, stepping onto the small platform, I'd like to share a story. Aaliyah's smile faltered. Many of you knew my grandmother, I continued, my voice carrying across the suddenly quiet room. She built this industry on one simple principle. Every piece of jewelry tells a story. I pulled the cover off the first display case. Gasps rippled through the crowd. These are her original pieces, I announced. Not copies, not inspired by. The actual pieces that launched our family's legacy. Pieces that were supposedly lost. Meredith, Aaliyah stepped forward, her voice sharp. This isn't the time. Actually, it's exactly the time. I cut her off. Because these pieces tell quite a story. About theft, about betrayal, about fraud. The room erupted in whispers. Camera flashes intensified. The expansion plans you've all been hearing about? I continued, nodding to the board members. Built on stolen designs and misappropriated funds. The proof has already been sent to your emails. Omar stepped forward. That's enough. No, I said firmly. It's not nearly enough. Tell them, Omar. Tell them about the night I lost our baby. Tell them where you really were. His face went ashen. Aaliyah grabbed his arm, but he shook her off. I was with her, he admitted, his voice breaking. We'd been planning. You never meant for me to find out, I finished. Just like you never meant for the board to discover the missing funds, or for our investors to learn that the new designs were plagiarized. That's a lie, Aaliyah shouted, but her voice shook. I unveiled the second display, grandmother's original sketches alongside Aaliyah's new designs. The similarities were undeniable. The Phoenix collection isn't just jewelry, I announced to the stunned crowd. It's evidence of what was stolen, what was lost, and what rises from the ashes. Dad pushed through the crowd, his face red. Stop this immediately. Why? I asked, pulling out my phone. Afraid of what else might come to light, like these bank transfers? The large screen behind me lit up with financial records. Aaliyah's perfectly crafted facade cracked. It was supposed to be mine, she burst out. All of it. I was always better at this than you, but grandmother chose you. She always chose you. So you chose revenge? I asked quietly. Taking my husband, my company, my life? You weren't even there, she screamed. After you lost the baby, you checked out. Someone had to step up. Into my bed? I asked sweetly. Into my role? Into my bank accounts? The crowd was dead silent now, watching the drama unfold like a tennis match. The board has already voted, I announced. The expansion plans are canceled. The funds will be audited. And the Phoenix Collection? It's launching under my new company, with the original designs, original documentation, and original spirit. You can't do this, Aaliyah whispered. The wedding is tomorrow, I know. I smiled. Consider this my wedding gift. The truth, finally exposed. Omar stepped forward again. Meredith, please, save it for your vows. I cut him off. I'm sure you can come up with something beautiful. You're both so good at pretty lies. Rosalind appeared at my side with champagne. To the Phoenix Collection, she announced, raising her glass, and to truth before beauty. The crowd, sensing which way the wind was blowing, raised their glasses. Camera shutters clicked frantically. You've ruined everything, Aaliyah hissed as she pushed past me. No, I corrected her. You did that yourself. I just exposed it. As she fled the room, Omar trailing behind her, I turned back to the assembled guests. The collection goes on sale tomorrow, I announced. Each piece comes with its story, its true story, because that's what my grandmother taught me. Jewelry isn't just about beauty, it's about truth. The applause was deafening. As reporters swarmed forward with questions, I caught sight of Mom in the corner, tears streaming down her face. But she was smiling. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Jason. Board meeting moved up. Tomorrow morning. They want you there. I touched grandmother's ring, feeling its weight, its history, its vindication. The phoenix had risen, and tomorrow, at my sister's wedding, it would spread its wings one final time. The church was eerily quiet as I slipped into the back pew. No bride, no groom, just scattered guests whispering among themselves. The morning news had done its work, headlines screaming about fraud, stolen designs, and corporate scandal. She's not coming, Rosalind whispered, sliding in beside me. Wait for it, I murmured. Right on cue, Mom appeared in the side door, gesturing frantically. Meredith, she's asking for you. I found Aaliyah in the bridal suite, still in her wedding dress, mascara streaking her cheeks. Come to gloat? No, I said, closing the door. Come to finish our story. There's nothing left to finish. You won. You destroyed everything. You did that, I corrected, sitting across from her. I just exposed the truth. The truth? She laughed bitterly. The truth is, I was always in your shadow. Perfect Meredith, grandmother's favorite, Dad's golden child. And that justified stealing my life? I didn't steal it, she exploded. You threw it away. After the miscarriage, you just disappeared. Omar needed someone. The company needed someone. They needed support, not theft. I loved him, she whispered. I still love him. Enough to commit fraud for him? Her head snapped up. That was his idea. The transfers, the fake contracts. He said we needed startup capital for our own venture. My phone buzzed. Jason, Omar just confessed everything to the board, trying to cut a deal. I showed Aaliyah the message. She crumpled, her white dress pooling around her like surrender. He promised we'd pay it back, she whispered. After the wedding, after the expansion, after you'd stolen everything I built. I didn't know about the baby, she said suddenly. That night when he came to me, he didn't tell me you were in the hospital until morning. The truth I'd suspected but never confirmed hit like a physical blow. You were together while I was losing our child? I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. A knock interrupted us. Dad entered, his face grave. The board's decision is unanimous. Omar's been removed, all expansion plans canceled. He looked at Aaliyah. They want the ring. What ring? Grandmother's emerald ring, he said. The one you claimed was lost when you took over the design department. Aaliyah's hand went to her neck, pulling out a chain. The ring dangled from it, an exact copy of the one on my finger. A replica, she admitted. I had it made when I saw the original in your jewelry box. I thought, if I had her ring, I'd have her blessing. But you didn't, I said softly, because you can't steal blessing any more than you can steal talent. She unclasped the chain, letting the fake ring fall into Dad's palm. What happens now? Now? I stood up. Now I go run my company. The real one, built on grandmother's true legacy. And you? I paused at the door. You get to live with your choices. Outside, guests were already leaving. Omar was nowhere to be seen. Mom waited by my car, holding a small package. Found this in the attic, she said. It's addressed to both of you. Inside was a letter in grandmother's handwriting, dated just before she died. My dearest girls, competition breeds excellence, but rivalry destroys families. Aaliyah, your fire is your strength, but unchecked, it burns everything it touches. Meredith, your patience is powerful, but remember, even phoenixes must sometimes burn to rise again. Love each other. That's the only legacy that matters. I found Aaliyah still in the bridal suite, staring at her reflection. Here, I said, holding out the letter. One last story from grandmother. She read it silently, fresh tears falling. I can't take back what I did, she said finally. No, I agreed, but you can go forward differently. How? I touched my grandmother's ring, the real one, by remembering what she taught us. Truth before beauty, strength before surrender. And forgiveness? She asked quietly. That comes with time, I said, and truth. My phone buzzed. Roslyn, press conference in an hour. Ready? Tell them I'm on my way, I replied. To Aaliyah, I added, when you're ready to tell the whole truth about everything, come find me. Why would you give me that chance? I showed her grandmother's letter again. Because some legacies are worth saving. Outside, the autumn sun caught the emeralds in my ring, sending green fire dancing across the church steps. Roslyn waited by her car, grinning. Ready to show the world what real jewelry looks like? She asked. I looked back at the church one last time. Through the window, I could see Aaliyah reading grandmother's letter again, her white dress now a symbol of something different. Not a stolen future, but a chance for a new beginning. No, I said, sliding into the car, ready to show them what real strength looks like. The phoenix pendant caught the light as we drove away, its wings spread wide, ready to soar, just like grandmother always intended, just like me.